This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and more. Skillshare has classes designed for any skill level and any schedule, with many under an hour long and divided into short lessons. Skillshare offers membership with meaning. With so much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives, Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth. Skillshare offers classes to help you develop concrete skills like web development and graphic design, as well as classes on topics like productivity to help you utilize those new skills in real life. I'm currently going through Creative Writing for All, a 10-day journaling challenge, a Skillshare original from Emily Gould. I often get overwhelmed when I sit down to work on a script for a video, and struggle to start because I have so much information to bring together. Going through this challenge has helped me feel less stressed and improve my focus. When I sit down to start writing, I can start right away on my challenge piece, which there is less pressure on, because no one else has to read it, and it does not have to be factually accurate. Starting out my day this way makes it easier for me to transition into writing for the channel and be more productive. Skillshare launches new classes regularly, and gives you the opportunity to find new classes that can help you in unexpected ways. If you would like to explore what Skillshare has to offer, the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Thank you. "48-year-old Lucy Schuhmann was a recent graduate of the University of Louisville School of Medicine. She traveled from her home in Kentucky to the Virgin Islands in September of 2019, where she stayed in a rental property in Coral Bay on the island of St. John. The owner of the rental property reported Lucy missing on September 19th, when Lucy failed to check out on time, and they found Lucy's belongings, but not Lucy, still at the property. The Jeep Lucy had rented for her trip was subsequently found in the parking lot near the entrance to the Salt Pond Bay Trail in Virgin Islands National Park. Lucy's day pack, with her passport inside of it, was found near the top of the Ram Head Trail, which connects with the Salt Pond Bay Trail. The search for Lucy was initially on the trails and the more accessible areas of the park near where her car and pack were found. Rangers from Virgin Islands National Park, St. John Rescue, the Virgin Islands Police, and the Coast Guard were all involved with the search, which also benefited from the help of local volunteers. However, when the early searches failed to locate Lucy, the effort to find her became more physically taxing on those working to locate her. The Ram Head Trail, where Lucy's pack was found, runs down the southernmost peninsula on the island. The remote area features dense vegetation and rocky terrain off of the trail. Search dog teams were brought in from Puerto Rico and St. Croix. A team from the U.S. Geological Survey used drones, which they normally used for mapping purposes, to search the area, and the Coast Guard searched the water along the southern coast of the island with a helicopter. The possibility that Lucy had fallen off of a cliff and into the water seemed like an obvious scenario, but Thomas Kelly, a spokesperson for Virgin Islands National Park, told NBC News that because of the jagged rocks below the cliffs of the peninsula, Lucy's body would have been discovered relatively quickly had she fallen, as it would have landed on the rocks rather than in the water. The water was still searched by snorkelers and scuba divers. After a few days, the search was impacted by Tropical Storm Karen, although the storm itself did not impact St. John as severely as initially forecast. Almost a dozen employees from the Park Service were due to travel to St. John from all over the country to lend their technical expertise to the search, but the island's airports and marinas were shut down on September 23rd in anticipation of the storm. They reopened on the 25th, and the Park Service employees arrived the following day. 5 of those employees were technical climbing rangers from parks ranging from Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming to Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. They climbed down cliffs along the shore and into small crevices on the island, looking for any sign of Lucy. None was found. On October 2nd, after nearly 2 weeks of extensive searches using diverse methods but resulting in no new clues, Virgin Islands National Park made the decision to scale back the search for Lucy. The search would continue, but in a more limited capacity. Following the announcement, National Park Service Incident Commander Scott Gunther conveyed his gratitude to everyone who helped search for Lucy. a member of Lucy's family wrote a letter to the volunteers, saying, "We are grateful for your dedication and generosity of spirit in the search for Lucy. Your selflessness and kindness will always be remembered." No further clues in the case have been found, and Lucy remains missing. Stephanie Stewart was 70 years old and very petite, barely over 5 feet tall and weighing just over 100 pounds. However, she was decidedly not weak or frail, having recently climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. She had previously biked solo across Canada. Perhaps because of her love of activity and the outdoors, she was still physically strong and in good health. "Mom's a hell of a woman," her daughter Lori has said of her. "She's very strong, she's very capable." Stephanie spent her winters in the resort town of Canmore, Alberta, and from April to September working as a fire spotter, climbing up a ladder to a watchtower every day to watch her remote surroundings for signs of smoke, and radioing in for help in the event of a forest fire. During the season, she lived alone in a cabin at the base of the tower, but kept busy even when she was not working, maintaining a large garden and reading stacks of books, and keeping up with her hobbies of painting and embroidering. Stephanie had worked as a fire spotter for 18 seasons, and had been assigned to the Athabasca Watchtower in western Alberta, on the outskirts of Jasper National Park, for the last 13 of them. She was there on August 25th, 2006, when the last known communication from her occurred. She spoke on the phone with one of her relatives around 9 p.m., and everything sounded normal. The following morning, however, Stephanie failed to make the first of her 3 daily radio check-ins. She then failed to answer any radio calls to her, so another employee was sent out to the Athabasca Watchtower to check on her. When they arrived, they found Stephanie's truck in the gravel driveway. When they approached the cabin, they found a small smear of blood on the stairs that led up to it. Inside, a pot of water, still warm from having been boiled, was on the stove. Stephanie was not in the cabin, in the tower, or in the immediate area. The authorities were notified that Stephanie was missing by 9 a.m. A massive multi-agency search for Stephanie was then launched. Volunteers, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, conservation officers, and search and rescue teams all helped with the effort. Thousands of kilometers of the surrounding area were searched on foot, by boat, from the air, and with all-terrain vehicles. No sign of Stephanie was found. The only items found to be missing from Stephanie's cabin were, in the words of authorities, an unusual watch, as well as several pieces of bedding, 2 pillows and blue pillowcases, a burgundy bedsheet, and a Navajo-patterned bed cover. 4 days after Stephanie disappeared, authorities announced that they believed that Stephanie had been the victim of foul play. According to the RCMP, this decision was reached in part due to the forensic investigation of the scene, although the exact evidence that led to that conclusion could not be released to the public. Furthermore, they did not believe that Stephanie had been attacked by an animal, or suffered from some sort of medical emergency that caused her to wander away. Abandoning her post would also have been highly out of her character. In January of 2018, Stephanie's disappearance was one of 3 cold cases presented at an RCMP press conference as an appeal for information in them. That August, just days before the 12th anniversary of her disappearance, over 100 people from numerous agencies were involved in a new, multi-day search of the area around the Athabasca Watchtower. The new search was not the result of any new information in the case. It was carried out because the investigation into the open case is ongoing. Authorities also hoped that advances in GPS technology could help ensure that no potential search areas went unchecked during the search. Following Stephanie's disappearance, numerous changes were made to ensure the safety of the fire spotters, who work out of the 128 fire watchtowers in Alberta, and are the first to report approximately 1/3 of the between 1,600 and 1,800 forest fires Alberta experiences annually. Self-defense classes are now required for them, and gates were installed at towers that can be reached from the road. Fire spotters now make more frequent radio check-ins with their supervisors, and wear personal locator beacons. They have better radios that have a panic button on them, and code words have been developed for fire spotters to covertly communicate that they are in danger when it is not safe to do so directly. New locks were installed on the cabins at the watchtowers, and the cabins were reinforced with steel doors and shatterproof glass in their windows. "We give Stephanie credit for all these improvements in the workplace," said Dennis Maleko of the Alberta Union of Provincial Employees in 2011. "Unfortunately, it takes an incident of this nature to raise this concern." Stephanie Stewart remains missing. Morgan Heimer was raised in Cody, Wyoming, graduating from Cody High School in 2011. He loved sports and outdoor activities, and was highly skilled in many of them, including soccer, skiing, and rafting. He enjoyed teaching others how to participate in these activities as well. He was also passionate about seeing the world, traveling extensively, and participating in 3 enrichment voyages with semester at sea. In the summer of 2015, the 22-year-old was combining his interests by working as a guide for Tour West, a commercial rafting company, taking groups on extended whitewater rafting trips. On June 2nd, he was 6 days into an 8-day trip down the Colorado River in Grand Canyon National Park. That afternoon, Morgan facilitated an activity for the members of the tour group, directing them as they jumped off a small cliff into the water off of the main river near River Mile 213, near Pumpkin Springs. After the last person jumped, around 4 p.m., Morgan was speaking with his lead guide, discussing possibly taking some time off that afternoon. The lead guide then walked away to speak with a member of the tour group. When they turned around a moment later, Morgan was gone. They assumed that he had stepped away to take his break. The lead guide, as well as everyone else on the trip, became concerned when dinner came and went that evening with no sign of Morgan. They began searching the area for him on their own, with no success. At 7:30, they used their satellite phone to call the National Park Service to report that Morgan was missing. Ground teams were launched to search the shoreline, and helicopters performed the initial search of the river from the air. Missing persons flyers were distributed throughout the area, and other river trips were briefed about the disappearance. 14 miles of the river and 4 miles along its shores were searched. No signs of Morgan were found in or near the river, and there were no indications that he had hiked out of the area. If Morgan did fall into the river, he would have been in a much better position than the average individual, as he was an exceptional swimmer. Furthermore, he was wearing a personal flotation device at the time of his disappearance. After 6 days with no sign of Morgan, and finding no clues to follow, the National Park Service scaled back the search for him, and the effort entered limited continuous mode. In 2019, Morgan's family and friends partnered with the Institute for Shipboard Education to create the Morgan Heimer Memorial Scholarship Fund. The scholarship will be awarded annually to a student from Montana, Colorado, or Wyoming who demonstrates financial need, as well as a spirit of adventure, love of people, and desire to experience new cultures, so that they may go on a semester at sea voyage, traveling and meeting people from around the world, as Morgan so enjoyed doing.